Congressman, thank you for sitting down with us, and congratulations on becoming the chairman of the Military Personnel Subcommittee for the House Armed Services Committee. Wanted to talk to you about that and what you see as the priorities for this year. Obviously, last year, a lot of big personnel issues in the annual defense authorization bill. I saw a big pay raise for junior enlisted troops and a lot of focus on military families and quality of life. Will that continue this year? Is that something that you're going to be focused on, sort of building on that into the future?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, if you want to look at the first two priorities we have is quality of life issues for all of our personnel, and also solving the recruiting crisis, because we have one. When it's year over year and you're not hitting your recruiting goals, that becomes a crisis. And we have to, we're seeing promising numbers since President Trump was elected in November. I hope that continues, because we have to, if we don't, our greatest resource in the military is our personnel, flat out. So we need to make sure we have great folks. So I think retention on the backside has helped a little bit, but that's not going to last forever. So we need to focus on those two things. And the quality of life recommendations were wonderful. I don't think our work's done there yet, and we need to continue.
So in terms of specifics on that, I know that housing stipends were one thing that, there was some correction made, but not as far as it could go. There's been some talk about expanding some of the family programs and everything. We're still without a budget for this year. The budget's going to be another fight. When you're looking at some of those priorities, how much wiggle room do you think you're going to have, especially considering the financial investment that last year's quality of life initiatives had? Do you think you'll still be able to do things like targeted pay bonuses or pay raises?
That's a great question. I think, and it's a fair one, I think the money will be there. When we pass CRs, I call them, they're called continuing resolutions. I call them China resolutions, because Beijing clicks their heels. We can't start a lot of programs we need to for defense. So we really do need to pass a budget. It's been far too long. And in that budget, I do think now that we have Republicans in control of both the House and Senate, and President Trump's made it a priority for the military to be projecting power and projecting strength. And in order to, again, solve the recruiting crisis, we need to focus more on quality as well. So that will help not only with retention, but also, I think, attracting people into serving. And when you have challenges like 77% of young people don't physically qualify to even serve, that's another existential crisis that we have to work with some of the other committees to look at how we improve just health overall for American adolescents.
Well, and I wanted to ask you about that, because the recruiting has been a big issue, not just because of the economics of it, but because, as you said, there's such a small pool that you can pull from in there. I know the president has said he wants to possibly grow the military, and that's something that the committee has been interested in. Is it realistic to have higher recruiting goals in the next few years, especially when the military is having trouble meeting the ones that have been set now?
We're going to find out. To say to what degree is really just love of country. How does that focus? And focusing on projecting power, whether it's soft or hard power, and lethality in the military, and really letting the military do what they do best, and not inject social issues into the military and use it as kind of an experimental field. We'll find out what effect that has, because clearly I've heard from, I don't know if it's anecdotal or scientific, but from lots of people that didn't want their kids to go into the military because they felt it was too woke or et cetera. But now we're going to focus on the core constituency of our military, and we need to we want all quarters to serve, but there are certainly, you can see it in the data, certain people are more apt to do to perform military service than others. And let's go where the grass is the greenest and mow that lawn, and then mow all the other lawns. But I think you start there and you move.
Trump's pick for the Army Secretary was testifying in his confirmation hearing recently, and talked about some of the struggles with that, some of trying to figure out just how you balance the recruiting side and bring folks in. Any concern that some of these efforts could backfire, that with cutting some of these outreach programs, that it will look like you're trying to focus on some folks? Or is it just a matter of really, I guess, getting the message out there? It's one of the things he brought up in the hearing, is the idea of getting out the importance of serving, the importance of the Army. Again, as someone who's served, what is it, what kind of message do you think needs to get out there to bring those recruits?
And clearly a great soldier, airman, Marine, sailor, doesn't have a pigmentation. They don't have a gender. It's just about merit, and that's what we want to focus on. And we need access in the high schools. We need ROTC units to be allowed on all colleges. And there were some that, ROTC wasn't welcome. Okay, that's your choice if you're a private university, but you shouldn't be getting federal funding if you're going to make that choice. And as far as public, in the schools, if you're private, again, one thing, but if you're public, it should be, mandatory, and not just doing the minimum. Let's say it's once a month and then they do the once a month. We need to up that, because if you get access to the young people and they realize what the military can do for them, you're going to get a lot more people to consider it. And then if a lot more people consider it, certainly by the numbers, you're going to get more people that actually sign up. One of the initiatives that we have in our office is we're going to say, if you're a dreamer, or even if you're a foreign national living in wherever, the Philippines, we have obviously Philippines were part of the United States for over half a century, and other unique relationships that we have with countries around the world. If you want to come as a foreign national and serve, you have to prove, you have to go through security check, you have to, prove proficiency in English, et cetera. But automatic citizenship after a set amount of time, let's say you serve 6 years honorably, it shouldn't be, and I believe the way the law reads now, you can then apply. Right. It should be automatic. And we want to pass legislation and have, I'm confident we can get it through the House and Senate, have President Trump sign that order. Because let's say you were a dreamer and you're here and you're American for all but, the paperwork, because you grew up here, your parents brought you when you were 2, you went to American schools. Well, if you want citizenship, you can earn it. Yep. Serve in the military for 6 years, serve the country that has, treated you so well, and then you're a full-on citizen. I love that idea. I mean, that goes way back to Roman times. Now, granted, you had to serve a lot longer back then, 18 years, 24 years, depending on what era, but that's something that should have been done a long time ago, and we're going to remedy that.
And I know that's been an idea. The issue has come up that there were folks who served, but then didn't have that automatic citizenship in there. So, do you see any potential problems with that, though? That is bringing in some more immigration, or do you think that just the trade-off with the military service will be enough to convince folks, say, okay,
you've earned it at that point. Particularly what you're doing is we're providing you a program and a pathway, and it's legal, and you're saying, I would love to do that, and then we say, okay, we need you, and then you serve. Now, it has to be successful service, it has to be honorable, and then when you hit that, I think we're going to write the bill, I think it's 6 years, then you're an automatic citizen of the United States. And think about how amazing that would be to attend that kind of a ceremony. When you have that, whether it's a lieutenant or a sergeant or, I don't know the Navy ranks too as well, the ensigns and such. But that'd be really something great. And we need good people. And so I think this is one of the ways to do it.